Hey everybody, Qroo here. Welcome to the channel. You may notice that the background looks different from some of my other videos, and no, it's not one of those fancy AI backgrounds that everybody's talking about on YouTube. This is just my friend's mother-in-law apartment, and I'm hanging out with him, for the weekend in Central Florida. And I just thought I'd do a video for you real quick before I grab some wings, all right? In today's video, I'm going to be putting two of my favorite things that I like to talk about in videos in the same video. I'm going to be giving you a super useful sentence starter. Actually, I'll be giving you two versions of it. And one of those versions is going to contain the subjunctive. Yes, the subjunctive. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, chances are you've heard me talk about it. I believe it is the keystone to mastering Spanish. Fortunately for you, I actually have a playlist of just videos dedicated to that subject, and this video is actually going to be added to that playlist. So you can binge watch this topic, and go through those, grab some popcorn, hang out. You can do all that after this video. Let's go ahead and jump in here, and I'm going to be giving you two versions of the same type of sentence starter. And what we're going to be saying is, now it's time to blank, or it's time to blank. One of the versions is going to use the infinitive, and the other one is going to use the subjunctive. So we're going to start with the infinitive. The infinitive is the unconjugated verb. Super easy, right? We're just going to be dropping it into our formula, and here's our formula. Ya es hora de plus infinitive. Ya es hora de plus infinitive. Now it's time to blank, or it's time to blank. When you're translating to English, you could use it either way. It's time to eat. Ya es hora de comer. Ya es hora de comer. See, we just dropped in comer, to eat. If I want to specify it's time to eat dinner. To eat dinner is cenar. I just drop it in. Ya es hora de cenar. Ya es hora de cenar. It's pretty easy, right? Now, you may see this particular construction used without the ya at the beginning of it, and you'll just see es hora de plus infinitive. That's fine to use that. A lot of times you're still going to be seeing ya. So in our construction here, I'm leaving it in, all right? You can put on your word list however you want. The Spanish word ya is often translated as now, or it could be already if we're talking about things in the past. And in some constructions, you're not really translating it. I'm going to dedicate a video just to that word, and we'll go through the nuances of that, all right? So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, you might want to subscribe because, well, you don't want to miss that. That sounds like that'll be a good video. Okay, you go ahead and try one. It's time to dance, or now it's time to dance. Go ahead. Ya es hora de bailar. Ya es hora de bailar. Did you get that? Pretty easy. Try it's time to sing. Ya es hora de cantar. Ya es hora de cantar. It's time to work. Ya es hora de trabajar. Ya es hora de trabajar. It's time to study. Ya es hora de estudiar. Ya es hora de estudiar. This is not too tough, right? With this construction, I'm speaking very generally, obviously, right? It's time to study. I'm not saying it's time for you to study or him to study. It's time to study. If I want to specify it's time for you to study, or it's time for me to study, that's where we're going to move into our other construction using the subjunctive, okay? Very similar. Ya es hora de que plus subjunctive. We added a que, and we're going to be conjugating the next verb in the subjunctive mood. Let's play with that construction a little bit. Let's say I want to say it's time for you to study. How are we going to do that? Well, we know how it's going to start because that's the beauty of a sentence starter. That part's not going to change. Ya es hora de que. Ya es hora de que. Now all you have to do is, add the rest, which is what? What's the verb for to study? Estudiar. We have to conjugate it in the present subjunctive mood. And what would that be? Estudies. Estudies. Put it all together. It's time for you to study. Ya es hora de que estudies. Ya es hora de que estudies. The hardest part about using the subjunctive is not learning how to conjugate it. That's actually pretty easy. You may have noticed that this is an AR verb, estudiar, and it became like ES ending instead of AS, estudies. It's as simple as that. I mean, there's some irregular verbs you'll have to learn, but it's not super difficult. The most difficult aspect of using the subjunctive is knowing when to use the subjunctive. Fortunately, Spanish is a very logical language, and we're going to see certain grammatical constructions that logically trigger the use of the subjunctive. That's why I call these subjunctive triggers. This is one of them. You're always going to use the subjunctive. Let's do another one. It's time for us to clean the house. What do we got there? It starts the exact same way, right? Ya es hora de que. What's the verb? Limpiar. What would it change to? limpiemos, limpiemos. See, it's only a slight difference. In the present indicative, it would be limpiamos. In the present subjunctive, limpiemos. We put it all together. Ya es hora de que limpiemos la casa. Ya es hora de que limpiemos la casa. Man, not too tough. Pretty easy. Piece of cake. Pan comido, ¿verdad? Go ahead and try this one on your own. It's time you learned how to cook. It's time you learned how to cook. It may help to think of it this way. It's time you learned to cook, because that's more literally what it says, if that helps. Not sure how much time you need. Okay, you ready? Ya es hora de que aprendas a cocinar. Ya es hora de que aprendas a cocinar. So we had aprender, right, which became aprendas. And then with verbs of learning or teaching, that's where we're going to be dropping in that a before the next verb. That's another formula. That's another construction that I've talked about. Just a quick review before I make this a little more complex, tweak it a little bit. We have our two sentence starters there, very similar. If we want to talk about something in general, we're going to use that first one, ya es hora de plus infinitive. And if we want to be more specific, we're going to use our other construction, ya es hora de que plus subjunctive. Now that you understand the basics, there is a time when you'll use that first construction and you are talking about a specific person. And that's when we're going to be using it with pronominal verbs. Pronominal verbs are the verbs in Spanish that end, when it's in the infinitive, with a se. For example, lavarse, quejarse, dormirse. Those are pronominal verbs. When we use pronominal verbs, we also have a reflexive pronoun, right? So if I had, for example, quejarse, it would, if I want to say I complain, would be me quejo. And you complain, te quejas. Or, the third person over here, Maria complains, se queja, nos quejamos, se quejan, etc. We have reflexive pronouns. Well, when we use this particular phrase, we can still play with that reflexive pronoun. So I'll show you what I mean. If I said, it's time to get up, okay? It's time to get up. I could just say, ya es hora de levantarse. Ya es hora de levantarse. Because levantarse means to get up. Now, if I said it's time for me to get up, I could still use that construction. I would just have to change the reflexive pronoun. Ya es hora de levantarme. Ya es hora de levantarme. If I said it's time for you to get up, I could change that to te. Ya es hora de levantarte. Ya es hora de levantarte. Time for us to get up. You want to try this one? Ya es hora de levantarnos. Ya es hora de levantarnos. You can do that, okay? You can do that. But you can also use them with the second construction that I showed you. So I could say, it's time for me to get up. I'm going to use the one with the subjunctive. What do I get? Ya es hora de que me levante. Ya es hora de que me levante. It's time for you to get up. Ya es hora de que te levantes. Ya es hora de que te levantes. It's time for us to get up. Ya es hora de que nos levantemos. Ya es hora de que nos levantemos. Try it with this one. Okay, we're going to use this one with irse. And irse can mean like to go off. When I don't have a specific location I'm going to. A lot of times we're going to translate it as our English to leave. Like if I'm at a party and I'm just like, I'm leaving, I'm going to say me voy, because I'm using irse. Let's say I want to say, just in general, it's time to go. Okay, what do we get? Ya es hora de irse. Ya es hora de irse. Because I'm speaking in general, it's just time to go. I'm not saying it's time for me to go, you to go, us to go. Just generally, it's time to go. Now I want to say, it's time for me to go. I got two ways to do that. First way is just with the infinitive, paying close attention to that reflexive pronoun. Ya es hora de irme. Ya es hora de irme. And the other way is with the subjunctive. Ya es hora de que me vaya. Ya es hora de que me vaya. Well, that's the end of the lesson. So what do you think? You think you can use these two? Okay. Super useful sentence starters there. Quick review. Ya es hora de plus infinitive. Ya es hora de que plus subjunctive. All right. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, just do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And until next time, hasta luego.